Welcome back, everyone. I'm relaxed and refreshed from my month-long break and ready and rearing to get back at it. While I was on vacation, I got the chance to watch a bunch of films that I've been meaning to catch up on, both old and new. Today's topic of discussion leaning toward the former rather than the latter. Leaning all the way back to 1948, in fact. Yeah, I hear your eyes rolling. I'm aware getting people to watch anything that old is like trying to get a toddler to eat the greens. But if Treasure of Sierra Madre was a meal, it'd be a full course meal plus dessert. Now, normally my reviews of older films lean heavily into spoilers, but I'm going to avoid that this time because I really want people to seek this movie out and give it a watch. Now, if the title didn't clue you in, Sierra Madre is a treasure hunt movie.
No shit.
Directed by John Huston, starring Humphrey Bogart, Tim Holt, and Walter Huston, John Huston's father. I'll touch on that in a bit. Dobbs and Curtin, respectively played by Humphrey Bogart and Tim Holt, are down on their luck drifters in Tampico, Mexico, living day to day by begging for loose change from other Americans in the area, until they get hired by a guy to put up an oil rig outside of Tampico. When they get back, the guy who hired them worms his way out of paying them, actually giving him a few dollars to go up to the bar and wait for him, but he never shows.
How do you mean? I mean he hires dumb guys like you to work for him. When it comes time to pay off, he takes a powder.
Forcing the duo to use the spare change they have to stay at a cheap rat-infested dormitory for the night. That's when they come across the fast-talking Howard, played by Huston, who's an old prospector who isn't much better shape than they are, reminiscing about the riches he found and lost over the years. Reminiscing in the fastest way possible, too. The man yaks a mile a minute.
1,000 men say go searching for gold. After 6 months, one of them's lucky. 1 out of 1,000. His find represents not only his own labor, but that of 999 others to boot. That's 6,000 months, 500 years, traveling over mountains, going hungry and thirsty.
The mere mention of gold Howard talks about catches Dobbs' attention. The three begin to talk, but Howard starts warning of the evils of gold, and Dobbs, of course, disregarding it, thinking he's above it all. The next morning, Dobbs and Curtin are talking on a bench when they see the weasel that stiffed them out of their last paycheck. They confront the man for a bar fight to ensue, Dobbs and Curtin knocking the cheap right off the bastard. Collecting what is owed and leaving the rest for the asshole. The scene may come off as a simple wrap-up of a plot point in the beginning, but it's actually a pretty clever benchmark of what Dobbs is now. A man who's gruff and a bit of an asshole, but still fair, only wanting what is owed, a stark contrast to what comes later in the film. Being fed up with the way things are, Dobbs and Kurt discuss the prospect of finding gold and leaving this life behind for a brighter horizon, finding Howard and forming a partnership, and thus the rest of the movie.
What? Gold? Let's stake our claim on Ouch!
Now, on a simple inspection, this film is an adventure film. It starts out that way, having gunfights and bandits on trains, light comedy and banter between the trio, and gorgeous landscape shots that truly lend to that genre. But this is really a movie of 2 parts. The second half is a thriller that slowly evolves into a horror film, kicking off once they start dividing the gold they find in the mountain. Mistrust and paranoia starts to incur between the three, so they hide their shares from the others to avoid foul play. Even though they take precautions, Dobbs begins to accuse the others of everything from trying to steal his gold to even plotting his death. Other elements contributing to his downfall, like the mine collapsing on him, bandits attacking, and even another American showing up to seek his fortune as well, requesting to join in on the operation just to take the money that he makes from that point forward. But if he doesn't get allowed in on the operation, he'll threaten to tell the authorities about their little unsanctioned mine, forcing the trio to make a decision on whether to shoot him or let him join. After so much stuff occurs, Dobbs just devolves to the point he talks to himself, hunches over, and begins to resemble a character from a Universal horror film. When Dobbs has fully gone mad with paranoia and greed, the way he laughs and acts toward the end, I could easily see him sitting next to Colin Clive's Frankenstein or Dwight Fry's Renfield. However, there is one character that resembles Dobbs even more so. Now I'm just spitballing here, but the way he talks to himself fidgets, hunches over, the eyes of madness. He reminds me a lot of Gollum from Lord of the Rings. Now, hear me out. The book this movie was based on was written in 1927. The movie was filmed in 1948. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings was written between 1937 and 1949. Maybe Tolkien got some inspiration from the book? I don't know. It's too close to ignore. Or at least Peter Jackson did get some inspiration from this movie, because this is one of the highest rated movies of all time. And I gotta say, Humphrey Bogart does an amazing job as Dobbs, really selling every line and action on screen. All three do an amazing job in this film, for the most part. Now I'm going to get into the negatives. There's only one or two, so not that many. After all, this film did receive 3 awards from the Oscars. The 3 awards were Best Director, Best Screenplay, and Best Supporting Actor. Even though Bogart acted his ass off in this film, he didn't win Best Actor. Best Supporting Actor did not go to Tim Holt, who played opposite of Dobbs as Curtin, which is an utter shame because Curtin also makes this movie just as much as Dobbs does, but the main focus is Dobbs. So who won Best Supporting Actor, you ask? It went to Walter Houston instead. Not that Walter did a bad job or Howard is a bad character, he just got annoying on occasion. He even
Going through some mighty rough country tomorrow, you better have some beans.
He even outright said plot details to the point it didn't feel like foreshadowing as much as reading ahead in the script.
On the other hand, going with a partner too is dangerous. Murder's always lurking about. Partners accusing each other of all sorts of crimes. As long as there's no fines, the noble brotherhood will last. But when the piles of gold begin to grow...
That was part of the character, but through some research, Walter's character was adapted ever so slightly, being a loose adaptation rather than an actual from page to screen character. And he had more of a positive outcome than he did in the book, at least from what I remember. It's been a while since I read the book, so fly by ear here. And it's not surprising since John Huston, Walter's son, was both screenwriter and director of this film. But I also feel there was some animosity between the director and Bogart too. Even though they previously worked on the Maltese Falcon together, there was a point in the movie where it felt like it was a little on the nose. For example, in the beginning of the movie, Bogart begs for money from the same guy 3 times. This man here in white. And fun fact, that's the director of the film. Take from that what you will. Bogart was also credited as saying working with 1 Huston was bad enough, but 2 was absolute murder. I'm leaning more to the animosity theory here. It really doesn't impact the film, but on repeat viewings, you kind of see there was something going on behind the scenes. And that's really all the negatives I can actually think of for this film. Kind of what I expected for one of the most top-rated films of all time, according to IMDb. It's 148, I think. And I can't recommend it any higher than that. So if you got any spare time in your hands, like 2 hours or so, find this movie and give it a watch. You'd be surprised what this movie has to offer. It has a little bit of action, a lot of suspense, memorable characters, some of the most famous lines in all of cinema, and scenes with...
I steal our water. Next time you try that, I'll let it out of you through little round holes.
Badges? We ain't got no badges. We don't need no badges. I don't have to show you any stinking badges.
Cinema, and scenes with so much tension you can cut it with a knife. What do you have to lose to accept some time? A lot of fun. What should I tackle next? Maybe. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Y'all take care.